Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can all hear me, and welcome to track 5 this afternoon, which is all around distribution and APIs. So my name is Caroline Baines and I'm the Director of Member Services for Mesa Europe, and I'll be hosting this session this afternoon. Each of our presentations will be 15 minutes, and we've also allowed a short buffer in between each one of 5 minutes, which just allows our attendees to find a new session and make their way there. If you do have any questions for our speakers during this track, please do post them up. But if you can just let us know which session they're referring to, that would be great, because we've got 5 different tracks going on this afternoon. And if we've got time, we'll certainly get to those questions at the end. And all the presentations will be recorded and available to the attendees later on. So really, without further ado, we've got 4 great presentations lined up, and I'm delighted to introduce Russell Wise, who is Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing, and Russell Vijayan, Head of AI Products and Services from Digital Nirvana, who are going to be talking about how AI and ML are revolutionizing content creation and distribution. So I'll hand over to the 2 Russells. Looking forward to hearing more. Thank you.
Great. Good morning. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the introduction. How you doing there, Russell? Can we go ahead and move to our slides? Would be great. Today we'll be talking. Thank you. Thank you, Russell. AI, machine learning are revolutionizing content creation and distribution will be our topic today. You can move to the next slide. Just to give you a quick snapshot of Digital Nirvana before you jump into the presentation. San Francisco, Bay Area based, 750 employees worldwide. We're primarily known and spend most of our time as innovators in AI ML across the entire content creation and distribution workflows. Key customers around the world, Turner, USTA, Discovery, Fox News, and Univision are the typical types of customers that we would work with. And you can move on there. So today, what we wanted to provide for you is really some real world examples across this content production and delivery chain. So in the content acquisition and contribution area and post-production, we'll be looking at a use case that we've deployed with media operations of a leading online entertainment company. They're well known, and for them, the most important thing is delivering news and entertainment very quickly. We'll also talk about some applications of AI in the content delivery area, primarily mining insights from the distributed content in ways that allow them to do product placement, advertising, but also some of the compliance issues around explicit content. That's what we'll cover today and step you through that. Okay. So the first, both in the production and the post-production phases for this leading news entertainment delivery of content, the big challenge was just time. They needed to create new content with captions in a 2-hour window. The input to that was a tremendous amount of footage coming in from the field that was not searchable, had no context, and no scripting. And from that, they needed complete content and deliver that to an OTT provider in the format expected in a very short time frame. So Russell, step us through the first challenge that they had.
Right. Thanks, Russ. So in this case, essentially the ingestion and extraction points, the output format, while all of them were different, essentially we were using only one technology that provided them the help that they were looking for, which is speech to text, or ASR, as you call it. Which, what we did was we provided them with a time-coded, word-by-word time-coded reference transcript back into their system, which enabled them to search, or their creative team could search for relevant content since it has been tied with the video content, they could go into specific places in the video with using that search. By clicking on that search terms, they could find all the relevant clips much more faster and produce content within the timeline that they were given. So that's what we did in terms of applying speech to text in this work.
Okay, very good. So the second challenge, of course, is that the content had to go up, but it also had to be captioned and accurately. They did not have time to use a third-party resource to send out the content, have it captioned and turned around. They wanted an in-house workflow where they could automatically use speech to text for captioning and assess quality, and also publish this to the streaming platform per the style guides of the platform. So Russell, if you could give us some color and insight around that.
So this is pretty interesting, Russ. So basically, here we are using a combination of technologies to achieve the challenge. See, here they literally had reduced time frames, and now we created automatic transcripts, which could go into their as video metadata, at the same time use as raw material for creating captions. Now, once the transcripts are created, now there is a challenge of converting that into subtitles or captions. In conventional methods, you can just create 32 characters, 2 lines, all those parameters can be defined. But if you look at these streaming platforms, then you have much more advanced caption split rules, based on pace of speech, whether there is silence or music in between speech segments, or there are even grammar rules and punctuation rules where you need to split captions based on all of that. So we applied a layer of NLP on top of the standard parameters that would help split the captions, arrange the captions in relevant order so that the user doesn't need to spend much time going and rearranging each of those captions and changing timings. Now, once that is done, now the user also, we also gave the capability for them to compare their current output with the streaming platform's guidelines. So then they will get alerts, or the user is alerted if there is any non-compliance identified in any of the areas in relation to streaming platform. Now that helped them to achieve this or turn around this much faster, and also ensure there is no rejection from the streaming platform side. So that's what we did in terms of captioning here.
Good. So I suspect one question that would come from the audience was how accurate are the captions, and what tools did we have to increase the accuracy? Can you speak to that one?
So
Challenge.
here in this case, the speech to text, primarily the speech to text is what, and the transcript, which is coming because it's post-produced content. It's very clear audio, and you're getting around 98 to 99% accuracy. It's practically certain words that they have to change. And now, when you convert it into captions, here the main thing you need to notice is it is all audio synced. So it is audio synced. It is split using additional caption rules. Plus, it is used. You use a set of presets, essentially reducing your time. Otherwise, what it would have taken an hour's time to rearrange all this, now they are doing it in 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Now I'm assuming that there's some confidence scoring on the words, and that there's some tools for edits or minor edits that need to be made by the captioner very quickly, right?
Exactly. The system points out the low confidence words and highlights those in orange, so that it highlights for the user, so that the user doesn't need to go through the whole content. You can just go into specific areas and correct those. Right.
Okay. Super. All right. So then the third challenge here was, and this is something we see sort of across the board. These days, everybody needs to localize their content, specifically the captions, into other languages. In this specific case, the requirement was for both English and Spanish. simultaneously. So let's spend some time on this problem.
You're right, Russ. Content has gone global for a while now. So you take any platform, you see a lot more languages, whether it is dubs or subs. You see a lot more additional languages for the same content, right? So in this case, there were two distinct requirements. One was the ability to create Spanish captions, much for English content, much faster. Like I said, they only have 2 hours to complete this whole process. And so this is what we did. So there are a lot of platforms out there which does translations. What we did differently for them is we used our linguistic research and created a set of algorithms that will dictate as to how much content needs to be translated at a go to get a much more accurate result. So if you look at here, in this case, the changes that they have to make to the automatic translation is much less compared to what would have happened if you send just caption by caption to the system and take a translation and then present it to the user. So that's what we did differently there. Another requirement was to also import, say, for example, they have archives in English language or Spanish language. They want to create, now they want to go ahead and create captions in a new language. So they wanted to import an existing file, create new captions, and export it using the same parameters. So we preserve the existing parameters and enable the conversion, and so that the user can use the facility of automatic translation in a much efficient way.
Good, very good. Okay, so we'll move now to the part of the content chain is distribution. In this case, we're pointing out use cases from two multiple MVPDs. In both cases, they have original content, but the bulk of the distribution is other people's content in usually 300 to 400 channels worth. For this, and by the way, all of these or both are using what's called a compliance logger, whereby they record the distributed content. Normally, this is done for compliance reasons. Was there explicit content? Was captioning in place? It's also used by producers to see what the content looked like as it went to air. So all these applications center primarily about mining data from that distributed content and making better decisions about at what place do I get the most bang for the buck with this ad placement. How do I track or decide what product placement is going to the video, and other types of insights that we can cover. So this was the primary challenge of these use cases. So Russell, you can give some flavor around this one.
Russ, I mean, think about it. Think about the possibilities of creating. So what if we can create videos readable by machines? Think about the possibilities. There's numerous possibilities, and a lot of streaming platforms are currently using a lot of these insights to, to take content to the next level. So here in this case, one of the challenges they wanted to address was to identify accurate ad spots using it. What we were doing there is we went in and used a set of video metadata to combine them. Say, for example, use face metadata to identify the actor, connect it to the character tree, and then see if there are spots, identify objects to see what are the objects coming into those screens, and then say, hey, there is a spot, there's an accurate spot for a mobile phone ad placement, or there's an accurate spot for a refrigerator ad placement, things like that. So we just identify those high value spots for certain objects and then pass the data on to the customer. That's what we did there. And in terms of product placement, here so think about this. You have a Microsoft Surface laptop showing on your screen. You want to replace that with Apple, or you have you are opening an actor is opening a fridge or refrigerator, and inside the refrigerator you're seeing soft beverages. You want to replace that with beer ads or whatever you want. So these are all different product placement, and it will only happen if you know what is there in the existing video. So that's where we went in, and we started generating those metadata for those customers so that they can make decisions for ad placements or product placements based on what they see in terms of semantic metadata. Also, identifying in terms of identifying explicit content, like you already know, there are, yeah, across the different regions, there are different rules in terms of explicit content, whether it is on OTT or whether it is on broadcast delivery. So these programs, we run it through the system, identify possible slots. So all these organizations, all these networks have large standards and protocol department, which has to go through, otherwise would have gone through the whole content to identify such. Now we mark possible areas and give it to them so that they don't need to go through the whole set of content to identify such spots.
Very good. Yeah. And one thing I do recall with this customer is that product placements are, in a sense, contractual items or billable events. We can go back and identify all these product placements without human intervention for the purpose of proving performance
Correct.
against that. So that was sort of a side application, right?
Yes, exactly. Detect all those logos. Yes, we can do that.
Good. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I think we're moving toward the end of our time slot. So this is sort of a common theme among all customers that we've talked to. Many obviously have existing workflows in place, and they need to add some element of AI or ML to maximize or better use that workflow. But we also see customers who or clients who are willing to just adapt a workflow off the shelf and deploy it in their organization and can use it from day one. So the key, I think, is to having a full set of capability of microservices to accomplish that full range of tasks. And I wanted you to step us through some, the sort of the set of capabilities that we currently deploy with these customers.
Yeah, I think you have pretty much covered it, Russ. So there is a service layer, which is also can be used as a hybrid layer. Then we have metadata, all the machine learning applications that people can use it as a cluster, or users can use it as individuals. And then there are insight layer, which is a combination of different metadata coming into play and creating genre classification or character mapping or classification of certain ads. And it also comes with integrations with different cloud providers, MAM, PAMs, and also, like we discussed in the first slide, there is also a workflow that will enable you to do transcription, captioning, translation, conformance, all of that stuff.
Very good.
Great. Well, thanks very much to both of you for joining us this afternoon and for sharing all of those case studies. It's been a really interesting session. So thank you very much for that.